Project by World Resources Institute on cross-economy analysis was conceived when through the Ministry of, through the Treasury and the State Department for Planning, KIPPRA was contacted to be able to do the scoping exercise for the cross-economy analysis. We started by having technical working group members from the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, and the State Department for Planning. Within WRI, they offered funding to enable us to do the cross-economy analysis that was looking at the extent which institutions of government, both the ministries and the county government, are integrating green transition and green economy transition, and what opportunities exist that we can be able to use to be able to do further integration of green transition. We collected data between August and September, and we came up with a scoping report by November, which was subjected to stakeholder validation by the participants who we interviewed during that particular time. And the last element on this project was to conduct a capacity gap training workshop that will be able to cover the gap identified by the cross-economy analysis. And these gaps include data skills gap, data analysis gap, modeling skills gap, and that is what this training was meant to cover.
Some of the gaps that have actually been identified during the capacity building is that there's need to deepen into building the capacity of the government staff, especially working in the ministries and county governments, economic planning, agriculture and energy, to be able to incorporate modeling within their day-to-day activities of work.
We had three main objectives of the training. One, to equip the participant with skills in terms of policy making, policy research, and the policy analysis. And therefore, the module that we designed to be able to fill this gap was specifically targeted at that. The second thing was to impart skills in terms of data analysis and even how to do data collection to be able to have very quality data. And the third thing is to introduce to the participant two models that the KIPPRA uses, that is KIPPRA Treasury Macro Modeling and the Computable Generic Clear Modeling that generally looks at economy-wide analysis and integrate issues to do with the climate change.
We're able to train the participants on the model, the overview, and the introduction of KTMM, how it was constructed, how it is structured, and also the behavioral equations, the data that has been used to construct the model, and they were able to appreciate all that process and the concerted efforts that were put in place to do such a model. We were able to go through the model itself, the KTMM. It's a simplified fashion that is in a Microsoft Excel, and we were able to go through worksheet by worksheet, one by one, and the team were able to see how the data is entered, how the assumptions are done, and how the model itself is maneuvered to capture all the data, all the equations, and also how it's able to have a consistency framework so that the forecasts are consistent in nature and how they flow seamlessly with how the economy functions. So there was the issue of a hands-on experience with the model, whereby we gave them data to update the model and also do forecasting, and they were able to see the results, and we discussed the results quite well. And actually the feedback was so good because you could see that they were really appreciating how this forecasting is done, discuss some of the numbers, and relate that to the experience, the realities on the...
During the 5-day training, we were able to take through the participants about the CG modeling, and that is the computable general equilibrium. This is a model, of course, that is able to conduct a policy analysis in terms of determining the what-if scenarios in case of a policy change or a shock in the economy. What are the likely impacts to happen? So generally the participants were given an overview to have a basic understanding, of course, of what are the capabilities or what are the underlying theories, of course, for developing a CG model. And of course, there are various types of CG models that the participants were taken through. Of course, just to understand, to have a basic understanding in terms of the differences between some of the economic models like the partial equilibrium and the computable general equilibrium. But for this case, of course, you have to understand that the general equilibrium, the computable general equilibrium, uses the social accounting matrix, whereby a sum has to be calibrated for it to run in the CG model.
Now, the model is good and can also be used for policy analysis, mostly now the simulation purposes. And this is where we can capture the matters of climate change and how this climate change affects the macroeconomic indicators in terms of forecasting. And therefore, it is something that can be enhanced and inform that due to climate change, these macroeconomic indicators are affected positively or negatively.
A CG model has the capabilities of determining the various impacts in, for example, in terms of you want to see the impact of climate change on one sector of the economy, like the agriculture sector, for example. Of course, the CG model has the capabilities to give you the direct impacts in the sector and, of course, the indirect effects in this particular sector. So with that understanding, the participants were now able to appreciate the capabilities that the model is able to do. So with this, of course, within KIPPRA, we have a team that has been trained on CG modeling together with the Joint Research Commission from the EU, and we are in the process of setting up a modeling unit.
This modeling unit, we have broken it down into the national and even county levels, where we will be having some lower level models that we can actually be able to work with the counties. So moving forward, we want to ensure that apart from those 30 people that we trained, then we will have more people trained in the counties in terms of modeling, in terms of data analysis, for us to be able to incorporate issues of climate change.
One of the key experiences I've learned is the essentials of how policies are made and the use of data in coming up with informed policies that are impactful to change our country and our region. The experience in this training was I was able to understand better how to model, how to use the model to link into policy formulation and implementation, and also to carry out effective data analysis using the various statistical models.
We've taken our trainees through sessions on policy analysis using statistical software, especially Stata and SPSS, which are important software in generating evidence to inform policy decisions in the national and county governments. And it's our belief that this training has bridged a key gap in skills among staff in the county governments and national government agencies in the area of policy analysis to generate evidence for decision making.
Expect the participants to apply the various skills that they have acquired from this training to do some simulations on how climate change affects various economic activities or sectoral output at the various departments that they come from, both at the national and county government.
So the training has been useful to me as a technical person because I've been able to get the softwares that I'll be able to use after this. I've also been able to build my technical skills on the softwares. Like I used to think that I'm very good in Excel, but I've been able to learn something that I never used to use that is going to help me to build on the models in Excel. And I've also been able to learn on how to relate the factors of production to a model to be able to inform a policy at the county level.
We took the participants through the general basics of e-views so that they learn the different data types that can be analyzed using e-views and how e-views can be used to do cross-economy analysis, looking at various economic indicators and their interaction with the issues of climate change.
We also have a concept that we have prepared. This is actually to give way forward in terms of what is going to happen in relation to further collaborations, further exercises within WRI. And this concept will be able to outline areas of opportunities in green transition, areas of opportunities in modeling, areas of opportunities in data, and that is what that concept will be able to contain. And we also believe that the insight from this workshop, because we have had interaction with the participant, we will be able to inform that concept and we'll be able to move forward.